Hey, I'm Lyndol Woodruff, and welcome to the Clarity Changes Everything podcast. People are like, wait, you sell windows and you're doing a podcast? Yes, I am, because clarity changes everything, not just in your house with your windows, but in a chaotic culture, when you find clarity, your whole life changes. So I wanted to bring on some cool people. Let's talk to them. Grab some coffee. Let's do this. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Clarity Changes Everything. You're going to notice this is going to be, I wanted to do a solo episode and really do a deep dive on why I'm doing this in the first place. The reality is I struggled a lot to even get to the place of pulling the trigger on something like this. I'm sure many of you can relate. I have dealt with a lot of self-worth issues my entire life, so I had to really get past like imposter syndrome. You know, what am I doing this for? Is this an ego thing? Is it really a continuation of the look at Lyndol story? Like, my whole entire life has been about, look at me, look at me, look at me, I'm worthy. And it, you know, it's rooted in, early childhood stuff. We all experience early childhood trauma on some level. There's abandonment, just things that happen through life that kind of create the perspective, the inner perspective that we live from. And there can be, unless we take action steps properly to deal with those things on a real level and get real and honest, and go to God humbly and ask for help and get some therapy and like really do some work on that stuff continues to run the show. And that baggage does not want you to win at all. The enemy seeks to destroy. And so for this particular episode, we're in the Christianity world, of course, the enemy is referred to as the devil. When I say enemy, when I'm talking about the enemy, I'm talking about the internal enemy. Like, we all have two forces inside of us, right? There's good and bad in all of us, and there's the old parable that I'm sure you've heard. It's been told centuries old, that we all have two wolves that live inside of us, and the one that wins is the one that we feed the most. And so it's especially in today's culture, which is why I'm such a proponent for clarity, because we get bombarded from all directions every second of every day with all kinds of information, and none of it is designed to produce a peaceful individual. I learned quite a few things living in LA when I was pursuing that life, just about media and messaging. And I've talked about this on podcasts before. I've been interviewed plenty of times about it, and speaking my thoughts on how that stuff is intentionally used, and the way everything is kind of set up. It's not really set up for our personal success and happiness. We have to really take it upon ourselves to recognize the reality of how things are set up and make a choice in a direction that's different from what popular culture tells you is the norm. So there's one quote that I use pretty regularly when I'm doing speaking engagements or whatever. It's, what's real is ridiculed, but what's popular is poison. And I talk a lot about culture and society and media and social media because there is no greater influence on the human mind than media. And it just, the fact that everybody's got devices in their hand and a constant stream of information at any given time just has skyrocketed these statistics when it comes to mental health conditions. This is not my opinion. There are so many different podcasters talking about this right now, talking about the dangers of the culture that we're living in, and it's almost like so many people just go with it just because that's what everybody's doing. Doesn't mean you have to. That's really the main reason I wanted to start this podcast, was to really, because I was real sucked into that life, right? Real sucked into constant social media. I'm still on it. I still use it. I like to share pictures of my daughter. She's adorable, and it's good for business and all that. But just doom scrolling, and it wasn't until I put that thing down for a little while and noticed a massive difference in my mental condition and emotional condition when I turned that thing off and plugged into life for just like a 3-week period of time. The difference was night and freaking day. And that's where the concept of clarity changes everything came from, because I got away from all of the stuff that truly doesn't matter. It's just all distractions, and sat down with a pen and paper and wrote out what is important. What's important to me? Truly, what's important in my life? What are the things that deserve my undivided attention? Because a lot of the energy, and you get those little alerts. I used to hate getting those little alerts. Your screen time today is so and so hours. I'm like, good gosh. When I started thinking about that, how much time is actually wasted staring and scrolling. And then if you get in comment argument wars, like, what is that doing for the productivity level of your personal life? And I've seen... I see this a lot in kind of the older generation, our parents that are, retired. I noticed, I saw something on Facebook not too long ago, just a friend of my dad, and there was a post that was made politically leaning, and then all of a sudden I'm just kind of start looking through the comments, and all these people that are, older in age, just outright arguing. I don't know how much time they spent going back and forth on all this stuff, and literally relationships are ending. Like, it's so divided, and it doesn't have to be that way at all. Put it down. Put it down, man. It is mind-blowing, the clarity that can come when we choose in on what really matters, because most of that stuff, the political games, the smoke and mirrors involved with mainstream media and the politics and all that stuff that goes on, it is a game. It's a game. I promise you, your comments and posts are not going to change anything about it. The only thing that we can really do for ourselves is realize we're being played and go, I'm not going to participate. Because it's literally destroying people's minds, and it spreads like it's a really bad epidemic. It really is. And I didn't even really have an agenda on this solo episode, aside from the fact that I wanted to get real for a minute as to why I wanted to start this and where it came from. And I adore my little girl so much. She's so awesome. So I'm thinking, why would I want to waste life staring at this screen instead of playing with her, and reading books to her and doing things that are actually good for me as a parent and for her as a toddler to a solo parent. They require a lot of attention. And then what we end up doing, a lot of us, just hand them a tablet, hand them a device. And I'm not going to lie, there are some times that I've got to get a few things done at the house. And if I'm there, like, she's on all of my legs, pulling on me, daddy, daddy, play, play, play. So sometimes like here, just watch some Paw Patrol for a few minutes. Just here, take the phone, watch Paw Patrol, and I have a timer. We set a timer. She loves the timer. She actually, can you believe that? She honors the timer. I say, well, I'm going to set the timer for 10 minutes. We can watch for 10 minutes. Okay, daddy. And when she hears my timer goes off, she goes, okay, timer, and just hands me the phone. And I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. That's so rare, but it is these things that have become norm in our society are beyond toxic for our mental lives, our spiritual lives, our emotional lives. And we've got to get better at making better personal choices because that's really the only thing that we can control. Really the only thing that we can control is what we do and where we put our energy to be an effective human, kind human, one that still opens the door for you when you tie at 7-Eleven. You get there at the same time, like, hey, I got the door for you, and it's all a beingness thing, like. But if we stay engaged in all this toxic messaging, it has a total effect on your beingness. So you see so many people not operating, like they literally just go through their day irritated. That's their beingness, and the beingness drives everything. Like our actions and all of those things comes from our feelings. So if we intentionally are putting ourselves in an emotionally distraught situation, do you think we're going to make effective, clear, good decisions? Really hard to. That's why I'm such a big proponent on, reading good things, listening to good things, staying out of the distractions, man, because it's destroying our emotional fabric of a society, and it's just going to get worse. Having a 3.5-year-old scares the crap out of me based on the way things are going. But then again, I've also got complete faith, and I know it's fully up to me as to, they imitate, right? They're sponges. They absorb. So I have to get super clear on the way that I am being, the things that I'm engaging in, because that's what she's watching, and introduce her. I listen to a lot of Jordan Peterson, and man, Jordan Peterson has got just the way that he eloquently describes and conveys message of thought and habit, and he's just so good at conveying all that stuff. I would strongly recommend listening to some of his stuff. It's really helped me kind of open my eyes to some things related to this, because it's our responsibility as parents. Like, we can't control what they do when they get older, but when they're younger, it is absolutely our responsibility 100% to do everything in our power to produce the most fully well-rounded and developed human that we can, both mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. That is a hard job. So if all we're doing is just shoving devices in their face, if that's all we're doing, that's not going to create a productive child, unless they end up building video games or something. I don't know. But the clips and the bursts of this and the dopamine hits and the dopamine hits and the dopamine hits and just the spikes and ADHD. I mean, it's all connected, man. So that's my ultimate goal right now with my daughter. She loves to play outside. We go to the playground a lot. She loves to go on walks. Painting and reading books, and the daycare that she's at, there's no devices allowed. Like the teacher doesn't even get on the phone or anything. Like it's all painting and in nature and like developing a human being. Now, when they're a little older, devices are supposed to be used to make some tasks easier. They're great for business. There's so many good things about them. So this is not a bash on social media or tablets or devices or anything like that. It's a discussion about the obsession and the compulsion that is around those things and the absolute medical fact. There's so much data out there of the massive negative effects of it. And so that's what the conversation is really about. Okay, I'm going to shift gears here a little bit. Since I was doing this by myself today, I thought long and hard about what I even wanted to cover. I love interviewing people. I've had some great guests on so far. I love being on podcasts and being interviewed. That's usually really easy for me. They ask the questions and pull the information out of me. So since it was just going to be me, I had to think long and hard, like, what do I even want to do here? Because I want to keep it interesting. So this is what I came up with. Most of you know that I'm working on a book, and it's called Windows to a Better Life. Clarity Changes Everything is the subtitle. And it really highlights my journey, battling alcoholism for a really long time, addiction, trying to make it in Hollywood, and that all blew up in my face on so many levels. There's been so many crazy stories of being a traveling sales guy and ending up in jails in different parts of the country and being mugged in Tijuana, and just so many different things that have happened over the years in my crazy pursuit of fame. That was always my number one goal. I'm going to be somebody because they told me at the restaurant I used to work at that I'm not going to amount to anything. You're just a crazy alcoholic. And I said, well, I'll show them. So I took off on a mission, and I was going to make it happen. Just me and my ego. I'm going to show all you guys that I can do this. But trying to go a million miles an hour with a dream and passion mixed with chemical dependency usually doesn't work out very well. A lot of people have that similar story. So there's been many instances, and maybe I'll do some more solo podcasts later that are just story specific. Like, hey, you want to hear more about the Tijuana story? Well, let's do a Tijuana story episode. Or how about the time I flew to New York for some music business stuff and blacked out in the airport, and I came to in a drunk tank in Compton. I blacked out in the Philly airport and came to in a drunk tank in Compton. If you want to hear more about that story, maybe we'll do an episode on that. And that was the big fall apart that got me back to Texas anyway. That was 2013. But so many crazy things. And so that's really what the book encapsulates, and all of the chaos and what actually got me in the window business. Like, so many people ask, like, okay, you got this crazy story and you're alive. Like, that's puzzling in and of itself. You've got to write a book. You have to. And I was never really ready yet because there wasn't, all it was chaotic stories, right? You can write short stories all day about all the chaos, but this first book, now that there's been an aha and a shift and a change and clarity and new direction, there's a culmination to the book now, and there's meat and there's an arc and all of that as to everything I learned through all those experiences, and what's the most valuable, and what I would really love to share with people that has made an immense impact on my life, my sanity, because I have been an insane, out of my mind moron my whole life. And, I still deal with moronity for sure. But there's been some big changes. So I thought what I would do today, I'm going to read the preface of the book, which is called The Hollywood Illusion, and then I'm going to read the introduction, and then my mom wrote the epilogue. There's still quite a bit of work to do with the book, but I thought maybe if I just read those few things, that would really kind of encapsulate what I'm going for to achieve this book. Really, there's so many different lessons and so many things I want to share and be raw and open and honest with everyone to deliver maximum value. And if any of this can help one person, I've achieved it. And I do believe that it will have an impact on many, because these types of conversations are happening very regularly. And I want to plug myself into anywhere possible with people that are already having conversations about this, because there's so many people talking about it, navigating life in such a chaotic culture, because we watch it in real time every single day of just utter insanity, and it does not have to be the norm. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and read the preface called The Hollywood Illusion of my upcoming book, Windows to a Better Life, Clarity Changes Everything. So here we go. At one point in my life, I thought I had made it, or at least on the right road to making it. I had the executive title, Executive Vice President of the Recording Artists Guild. I had the Beverly Hills office with plaques on the wall, recording studios, and the constant buzz of celebrity stop-ins and high-profile projects. The building itself was an icon, right in the middle of Beverly Hills, and my office was inside of it. The guy who held the lease to the entire building was a film placement executive who partnered with the likes of Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, Bentley, Lamborghini, and Ferrari. Their cars filled the attachment multi-level parking garage, ready to be showcased at exclusive events. It was a facade of power and success, and I was a part of it, if only by proximity. On the outside, it looked like a dream. I was on the lists, invited to the industry mixers, moving through velvet ropes, and known in many circles as the chief connection officer who could talk his way into any room. I had powerhouse industry executives backing my vision for my own record label. I could sell a dream better than anyone. But the truth was, I didn't even have close to what it takes to build a living, breathing success in that industry. What no one saw was the other reputation that I had. Well, very few people did see it. The one for falling apart when it mattered the most. I baffled people with my self-sabotage. They couldn't understand how someone with so much opportunity could keep blowing it for no obvious reason. The truth is, it was all smoke and mirrors. I had walked away from my dream of being a stand-up comic and sold out to someone else's vision, believing the image would complete me. But this is the exact definition of selling your soul. Giving up what's real in exchange for what's shiny. Hollywood is full of people who do it. Not everyone loses themselves in it, but many of them do. And there is something undeniably dark in the air there. You can feel it. It's palpable. It's a place where ego is currency, control is strategy, and status is survival. It's a machine that thrives on image, social dominance, and the illusion of happiness. If you're not grounded in something deeper, that place will eat you alive. Looking back, I see how God allowed that season to strip me down to nothing so I could start building something real. Leaving Hollywood wasn't the end of my story. It was the beginning of finally writing the correct one. Introduction. Through the glass, clearly. This isn't a book about windows. It's a book about clarity, about purpose, about trust, service, and creating homes and lives that feel honest, grounded, and fully alive. When I first got into this window business, it wasn't because I had some grand plan. It was because I'd finally learned to see clearly, through years of fog, failure, and finding my way back. After losing everything twice, first in Hollywood, then again back in Dallas, I was puzzled. I was ambitious, positive, full of life, and genuinely well-intentioned. So how could I keep destroying everything I touched? The real breakthrough came when life stripped away every excuse and forced me to see clearly for the first time. Back in Dallas, Dad kept bringing up windows. He'd been running siding and windows by Keith as a hobby since 1982, helping friends and neighbors with whatever they needed. It wasn't a business for him, just a passion rooted in craftsmanship and care. But honestly, I had zero interest and couldn't see the potential yet. Then in 2018, everything clicked. I was working as a VP of strategic partnerships at a Dallas-based production company when we got Green Addicts. Green Addicts is a home energy efficiency company. We landed them as a client. Diving deep into research on home energy efficiency, the light bulb went off. Every single house in our area needed window replacement. Green Addicts handled everything energy efficiency except windows. So I pulled my dad in to bridge that gap. But then I saw something bigger. Dad had been helping people for decades across multiple trades, but I could see the massive opportunity if we laser focused on just windows. In 2019, we made it official, incorporating Woodruff Home Improvements LLC as partners and making the strategic decision to focus exclusively on windows. From day one, our mission was simple: deliver an experience where trust comes standard and quality is non-negotiable. We built something meaningful over the next 4 years, a solid foundation of trust, quality work, and happy customers. We were doing well, establishing ourselves locally with consistently positive reviews and a growing reputation for keeping our word and doing phenomenal work. But when Dad's health required his retirement in March 2023, I faced a reality. I'm great at sales and business development, but scaling systems, processes, and sustainable operations, that is not where I'm built to thrive. So I made what I believe was the smartest decision of my entrepreneurial life. I sold the company to Jordan Riley, a former tech executive with the vision and systems expertise to take us to levels we couldn't have achieved ourselves. Under Jordan's exceptional leadership, everything we'd built has flourished beyond what I ever imagined. Today, I continue as a sales consultant and the face of the company and the community, representing the values and culture we established while Jordan has transformed us into one of the most widely recognized and respected window replacement companies in Collin County. But that success isn't what this story is about. It's about discovering that every window we install is proof that broken things can be made beautiful again, that clarity is possible, that the right work done the right way can change everything. This book is not a sales pitch. It's a promise that when you commit to craftsmanship, service, and integrity, you don't just change homes, you change lives. If you're a homeowner, this will help you see clearly through the noise and confusion of an industry where trust can be hard to find. If you're a business owner, it may inspire you to think differently about service, culture, and legacy. Welcome to the story behind the glass. My mom, Kathy Hiley, she is a Christian fiction novelist. She's self-published. I think she's on her 14th Christian fiction novel. Kathleen Rigdon Hiley is her pen name. So if you love cool novels, definitely go order some of her books. She's got a very cool style of writing. Very proud of my mom. And it's there's always some drama in these books because they're Christian fiction, and God always comes in and saves the day at the end. And if anybody that comes across this that's listening that has relationships to movie studios or whatever, one of my mom doesn't want me to say this, but I know one of her biggest dreams is to see one of her books come to life on the big screen. So if anybody can help us make that happen, that would be awesome. So she wrote the epilogue to the book, Epilogue, The View from Here. Called me from Hollywood 12 years ago, broken and convinced his life was over. He's in the backyard with his little daughter, Everly Sage, and they're playing, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. Just a simple round and round game of chase. But to him, it represents freedom. He silly dances in circles around her with so much adoration. The kind of adoration for another that would have been foreign to the man chasing stardom in Los Angeles. This transformation isn't just remarkable, it's miraculous. A Jesus deal, as Lyndol's childhood pastor, Brother Jim Everidge, would say. It's a Jesus deal. The Hollywood Lyndol of 2013 was consumed with me, look at what I'm doing. This deal's going to be huge, big things popping. Today's Lyndol marvels at, look what I get to do. The shift from self to service didn't happen overnight, but watching it unfold has been one of the greatest privileges of my life as his mother. When I drove down to Dallas to go with Kiefer, Lyndol, to the hospital the day Everly was born,
And to stay that first week to help, I saw something in my son I'd never seen before, as an adult anyway. Complete unconditional love without agenda. Total admiration. He was mind blown by his own capacity to love something so purely, so authentically. And that just keeps getting stronger, as all of you parents can attest to. The man who once feared he wasn't good enough and didn't deserve happiness was holding living proof that he was both worthy and beloved. Present, involved, engaged, eye contact that lasts, dancing in the kitchen, playground adventures, bedtime stories read with voices and sound effects. These moments that might seem ordinary to some are extraordinary to a man who spent years performing instead of being. What gives him the most peace now isn't applause or recognition, even though he will never stop doing comedy. He's so good at it. Wink, wink. It's watching his daughter's bright curiosity as she figures out learning games, seeing her explore the world from a place of wonder, and knowing with quiet certainty that he's in God's hands, and all he must do is trust, continue to seek, and palpate that relationship. The fears that once paralyzed him, that he wasn't enough, that he'd never truly be happy, wasn't worthy, have been replaced by something unshakable, faith. Not the performative kind that seeks to impress, but the surrendered kind that simply trusts. Where he once felt shunned and worthless, he now feels the perfectness that is God and what God represents. His definition of success has been completely rewritten, no longer about external validation or material accumulation. Success now means peace and contentment, a quiet mind, a gliding walk, a carefree and magnificent existence anchored in faith and love. The work he does now, helping families through window consultations, has become an extension of his purpose. He gets to help families experience more of what matters because new windows drastically change everything about the home, creating a ripple effect that touches every aspect of their lives. More comfort, more peace, more of those magic moments that make a house truly feel like a home. When he talks about the future, his eyes light up with the same wonder I see in Everly's. He dreams of traveling the world with his daughter, exploring every beautiful wonder that exists, of playing golf on the senior PGA Tour. He was an outstanding golfer in high school, dreaming of the pros when partying took over. Of speaking to others about transformation and love, but even these dreams are different now. They're about experience and service, not achievement and applause. The legacy he wants to leave for Everly is simple but profound, unconditional for love for God, self, and others. To always remain playful and curious, to know bone deep that she is fully loved, and to have the resources to explore anything that sparks her curiosity. To anyone reading this who might be in their own Hollywood breakdown moment, Lyndol's message is clear. All of that is hype. True happiness comes from service, not buying into the lie that material things matter. Focus on internal purpose, not external validity. His hope for readers is beautifully simple, that his story shifts their perspective, that they begin experiencing life in a completely different manner, and that they go be of service. As he often says, we are all contributing, but the question is, how are we contributing? Even now, the journey isn't without its challenges. Recently, he found himself falling back into old patterns, going all in on someone else's dream and forgetting about what he's actually doing here. But this time, someone very important in his life called it out and got him in the position to even more so uncover his true center, deeply connect with his purpose to what actually matters. The places that once held power over him, the Hollywood haunts, the scenes of past triumphs and failures, no longer move him at all. When he reflects on those times, he feels nothing but gratitude for the lessons learned. The trauma has been removed. He has a new appreciation for life now, one that doesn't pay attention to the external, but stays focused on filling himself up with love and kindness so he can be more of that for others. The son who once measured his worth by industry connections now measures it by how present he can be with a 3-year-old. The man who once put on an act for people now finds his greatest joy in an audience of one, his daughter, who loves him not for what he does, but for who he is. And boy, she sure does love her daddy. It's the coolest thing in the world to see. Windows, as it turns out, were never really about windows. They were about learning to see clearly. Through the glass, yes, but more importantly, through the illusions that kept him from his true purpose. As I watch him play I'm Gonna Get You with Everly, both of them laughing and being silly, I'm reminded of something I've always believed. God does not waste our pain. He uses it to prepare us for our purpose. If we'll allow it, it doesn't just happen. There's a willingness. It's a collaboration. And sometimes, if we're very blessed, we get to see that purpose lived out in real time. One window consultation, one bedtime story, one moment of perfect presence at a time. The view from here is beautiful indeed. Kathleen Rigdon-Hiley.
Final thought. When I started this journey, I thought I was just making a smart business move. I was wrong. I was stepping into my legacy, my calling, my purpose. What began as a strategic pivot from video production became something far deeper. A way to honor my grandfather's craftsmanship, carry forward my father's integrity, and build something that truly matters. This book wasn't written for recognition. It wasn't written to sell windows. It was written to be useful, to be of service, and maybe, just maybe, spark something in you that leads to something greater. Whether you're a homeowner searching for peace, a parent building a better life, or someone wrestling with their worth, I want you to know this. You matter. You always have, and you always will. Your home matters. Your peace matters. If you're reading this and you're in your own valley, whether it's business failure, relationship struggles, or just feeling lost, I want you to know something. Your breakdown might be your breakthrough. Your setback might be your setup. Your failure might be your foundation. But only if you choose service over self. Only if you choose to build something bigger than your own ego. Only if you choose to see clearly, not just through windows, but through life. And if life has felt foggy lately, I hope this helped you see more clearly, not just through the glass, but through the chaos. This world is noisy. It's chaotic. It tells you to chase, compare, and compete. But the real win is showing up for yourself, your family, your purpose, not just once, every day. We don't control everything, but we do get to choose how we show up, with care, with courage, with consistency. The light is always there. Sometimes you just need better windows to let it in. So whether you're thinking about replacing your windows or just needed a reminder that there's still clarity and beauty to be found, I hope this gave you both. Stay grounded, stay connected, and never stop looking for the light. With deep respect and gratitude, Lyndol Woodruff. My mantra, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills. Don't wish for less challenges, wish for more wisdom. The major value in life is not what you get. The major value in life is what you become. Jim Rohn, the GOAT. And I think we're going to go ahead and end this episode on that note, on that shout out to Jim Rohn, because he is definitely the GOAT. R-O-H-N, Jim Rohn, R-O-H-N. Look him up on YouTube. Go down the rabbit hole. Amazing stuff. Didn't even know where this episode was going to go today, guys. I had no idea. And I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it. It really helped me to clearly convey what I'm trying to convey, and also, from my mother's perspective. And this is more of a reminding session for me than a educational moment for you, because it's a daily thing. Like, with everything being so chaotic, we got to be intentional and literally die every day, die to ego and die to impulse. And it's very paramount that we continue to find some things that help us find clarity and purpose, and get plugged into things that are good for our minds and our spiritual health and mental health and all of that good stuff. So all that being said, if you enjoyed this episode, anything hit home with you, share it. Please share it. Be sure to subscribe. And we got some really fantastic guests coming soon. And if any of you guys need windows here in the North Texas area, hit me up. I would love to help you out with your windows. You guys have a very blessed day. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to today's episode of Clarity Changes Everything. If this conversation helped you in any way, it would mean the world if you would subscribe and then make sure you share it with someone that needs to hear it. And if you're here in the DFW Metroplex and you want to talk windows, all you got to do is text Clarity to 214-225-1922 to schedule your complimentary in-home consultation with me. If you want updates on the podcast, special offers, and more exciting things coming, just want the news, visit claritychangeseverythingpodcast.com and join my email list. Until next time, remember, clarity changes everything.